You're tuned to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is a program called The Wonderful World of Wardini Books, and it's our pleasure, as always, to have in the studio the fantabulous. Is that a word?
Yeah, I think Gareth made that up.
Did he really? Oh, good on him. Tell him I borrowed it. The fantabulous Lou from Wardini Books in Havelock North. How are you going?
You're really well, Ken. How are you doing?
Oh, great. Thanks. All the better for seeing you. Before we get into today's books, you've got two stores.
Yes. In Havelock North and Napier.
Hastings Street and Napier, and of course the roadworks are finished.
Just about. They've kind of shifted down the other end up towards the cabana there on the crossroads.
All right, yeah.
And our footpath is done and grouted and it's beautiful.
Excellent. So business is on the up and up. 4 great books today. Let's start off with The Wolf, the Duck and the Mouse.
This is a picture book for children, little children, written by Mac Barnett and illustrated by John Classen, who's one of my favourite illustrators. They're a good team. They've done stuff together before. So there's The Wolf, the Duck and the Mouse. Beautiful, eh?
I love the drawing of the wolf.
Yeah, so he's a real cheeky looking fella there. And it starts off in dramatic fashion. Early one morning, a mouse met a wolf. Dramatic pause. And he was quickly gobbled up.
Oh, no.
You think, well, isn't that the end of a story? But no, this is the beginning of a story. So the wolf finds himself in, you know, the sort of gullet and alimentary canal or something. I don't know where that canal is, but of the wolf, and then is saying, woe is me, and someone says, be quiet, I'm trying to sleep. And he's like, what is going on? And there's a duck in there who has made herself quite at home. So she's been there some time, and the mouse is like, well, why don't you try and escape? And she says, well, it's great in here, it's warm, and the wolf eats yummy things sometimes and doesn't chew them, just goes and so she's living quite the high life in there. And what happens is, look, they've even got table chairs, pots and pans, little candle in there. But they have such a raucous time together that they start to make the wolf feel quite unwell. And they shout things to him like, oh, well, if you're not feeling well, you need to yomp some wine and some cheese. So they get all this stuff. But something bad happens and the wolf is under attack by a hunter. And the mouse and the duck think, well, this is the end of our cushy ride then, if the wolf gets killed. And so they come charging out. They are vomited out of the wolf and they go charging out and save the day. And the wolf says, what can I do for you? You've saved my life. And they just want to go back in.
Yeah.
And he has to, and that's why he howls. Because he's in pain because of all the raucous partying in his stomach.
That's what it is.
So look at that.
There he is, he's howling.
And that's why the wolf howls at the moon. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Every night he howls at the moon.
I love a story with a happy ending.
Isn't it great?
That's a cracker, isn't
Not
it?
for the wolf.
Who would think of that? Not me, that's for sure.
Mac Barnett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our next book is called Hilda and the Hidden People.
The books with Hilda in originally came out as children's graphic novels, so sort of A4 size, beautifully illustrated, and these are still illustrated. They're by originally Luke Pearson, but this one has been written in a lot more detail by Stephen Davis, and it's a Netflix series apparently. So Hilda is a little girl with beautiful blue hair, and she lives in... It's a modern world. Her mum has a car, her mum's a graphic artist, and she goes to work and all this kind of thing. But they live in the middle of nowhere, and is it Troll Town or something, is the big town down there. And they have trolls, and they have giants, and all sorts of dangerous things. But every now and again, something bashes their house up. These tiny things that they can't see come in and wreck their house and leave them threatening notes, you have to leave. And the mum's had enough, she's like, right, we're moving. And Hilda is devastated, and so she has to try and figure out what's going on. And it really is all about the things in your environment that you pay no attention to, and that there is another perspective to things, if you want to go into that kind of detail. Yeah. But if you don't want to go into that type of moralising, it's just a really good adventure story with trolls. The trolls are great because they're rock trolls, and if they get caught in the sunshine, they're rocks.
All right.
But as soon as the sun goes down...
They turn back. I love it. It sounds like my sort of book. What sort of age group would that
I'd put about a 7+. Some of the language is quite sophisticated, but I don't see that as a problem.
No.
Kids will ask if they don't know what a word means. Yeah, and there are wafts, these things called wafts, which is nothing to do with your car. They're just these big puffy birds. There are all sorts of things in it. It's really... cool. I really enjoyed that.
I love it. Out of 10, what would you give it?
Yeah, it's a good 9 out of 10 for a kid's book.
I suppose you read it in about half an hour, did you?
Oh, I don't know how long it took me. I read it last night, and I really enjoyed it, and I looked at all the pictures carefully. Sometimes you speed read, don't you? But I'm like, oh, that's really cool.
You're listening to The Wonderful World of Wardini Books on Radio Kidnappers. Wardini Books, 2 stores, one in what street in Havelock North?
Tomato Road.
And the other one, Hastings Street in Napier. You've got a web page, you've got a Facebook page, you've got everything.
all of the things.
And the next one is, and you might be able to tell me the meaning of this, because I thought that Homo sapiens meant human being, and this book is called Sapiens. Does that mean beings?
Oh, it's a species, a subspecies of
right.
human.
Is it really?
That's us. We
That's
are
us.
Homo sapiens.
Yeah.
This is A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari, who is, let me get this right, he has a PhD in history from University of Oxford, and now lectures at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, specialising in world history. And this, you think, oh, that sounds a bit dry.
Yeah.
But it's not. He's got such a light tone. He's telling you historical scientific facts and suppositions, because he's going way back to the dawn of man, and he makes it funny and really interesting. So the first thing that he posits is, didn't just used to be Homo sapiens, there were all sorts of different species of human evolved from chimpanzees, and how come then that we're the only ones left?
Yes.
And so that's what he's looking at all the way through. And the first thing that he talks about, or one of the first things that he talks about, is, foragers and then hunter-gatherers and all that kind of thing. But how come we then were able to wipe out all these other species? And it's to do with Homo sapiens developed imagination. So people just used to knock about in bands of about 12 or 15, and that was fine. There was enough food for everybody, and there weren't enough people to have massive conflicts, and all that kind of thing. But as soon as someone had a thought outside of that, and he talks about it could be, a religious thought or the creation of a monetary system or anything like that. As soon as people started to develop imagination, that's how, if you're going to have a big society like a country or a continent or the Western world, then you have to have a collective belief. And that's where religions and things come in.
And so do we get any resolutions from that book? At the end, you think, I understand it all.
Yeah, you do it. You understand a lot more, and you understand a lot about human behaviour, and it just gives you this massive perspective that we just kind of make everything up. Yeah. So what's really important? Yeah.
Looks like about 500 pages. Is that a good read?
Yeah. How many pages is it? With the addendums and things, it is about Ooh, you're clever. Let's see, did 497.
Oh, geez, I'm useless.
3 out.
Yeah. And our last book is called The Girl on the Page. What's that all about?
This is a fascinating novel, quite different, unlike anything I've read recently. It's by John Purcell, and he's been in books for years and years and years. He used to own a second-hand bookshop, and I think he's written for a long time with the looks of it. But this one, it almost felt like 2 books to begin with. So I started it off, and I'm like, oh, this is quite crude and rude. I was thinking, is this going to be a me kind of book? But I was hooked in. So it starts off, we have Amy, and she's an editor, and she's a fabulous young editor. She's very beautiful. She is very lax in her, she's not monogamous, I'll just say that.
Yes.
So she gets around a bit, and she's a hard drinker, and she's living this lifestyle and a complete workaholic. And wakes up in blokes' bedrooms and she doesn't know what their names are and all that kind of thing. But she doesn't have a problem with that.
No.
She's a bit damaged, so it's a bit, you think, oh, okay, it's that kind of book, is it? But it's not that kind of book. Because then the next protagonist that you've got are an older couple, Helen and, oh no, I can't remember his name, Malcolm. And Malcolm's just been longlisted for the Booker Prize. It's all fiction. And Helen is a writer of some renown, and she's been given a £2 million advance on her next novel. But the publishing house that was going to publish that novel has been taken over by this big conglomerate, It's this takeover thing, and Helen hasn't delivered her novel. She's in possession of £2 million, and so Amy, the editor, the amazing editor, is given this task. Even though she normally does these sort of mass market books, go and get that novel from that woman and sort it out and make sure that we get our money's worth. And so these 2 worlds, the very literary, beautiful world, and then her chaotic, crude, nasty world, collide. And the really cool thing is that he's writing the Amy parts like a mass market book, and then when you are in the Helen and what's his name, Malcolm parts, it's like a literary novel. It's so clever.
Amazing. And sounds like it would make a great movie.
Oh, probably. I don't know.
I suppose it's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Good on you, Lou. As always, our pleasure. You look after yourself. We'll talk to the same time, same place next time.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kim.